live. Welcome to another great episode of Comp and Coffee with your disgusting sounding host this morning. Sound like hell, feel great. I'm Shawn Lavana. I'm joined as always by Katie.
Hi, Katie Rosa.
And Katie, we have somebody special here today with us.
We do.
It's the myth, the legend.
The man.
The man who ran for 4 touchdowns in a single game at Polk High.
Pinkerton Academy.
You always say Polk High. Why?
Same thing. You ever watch Married with Children?
Oh.
Nobody gets that joke?
No.
Do you get that joke?
Al Bundy?
Al Bundy. His great story was always that he ran for 4 touchdowns in a senior game at Polk High.
I thought his greatest accomplishment was being a shoe salesman.
Prior to that, the best accomplishment he had in life was 4 touchdowns at Polk High. And he would always recount those days.
Wasn't quite 4 touchdowns, but I did actually throw for a touchdown, catch a touchdown, and rush for a touchdown.
Do you want to relive that day? Do you want to take us back?
I do. I would like to. I would like to do that.
I don't think you're here today to talk about that.
No,
but maybe another
no.
podcast.
However, what you have to share is probably just as exciting.
Absolutely.
It's true. So, John, welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Not your first time on Comp and Coffee. You were on previously on our episode about what books you'd recommend.
Yes,
right.
that was early days.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Yes.
But we're bringing you back.
That was his rookie appearance.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be back.
Teeing you up for today.
All right, John, so you're here today to talk about something interesting that you recently studied. You conducted a survey, and we did this in partnership with Human Capital Management. Mm-hmm. It was around smaller businesses and their views on compensation. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of great research went in from a due diligence perspective to help us understand a little bit more about the market. You know, partnering with organizations to assist in that process was really, really critical for us. And so the data came back was really interesting. There were some great nuggets that were pulled out through that research and through those findings, but there's definitely some key takeaways, and some of those include, certainly not limited to, but some of the ones that really resonated with us were tight labor market, right? We know today's marketplace is extremely competitive, tough for organizations of all sizes, more specifically in the smaller segment, to compete for talent. From a recruitment perspective, in addition to that, just from overall retention and attraction perspective. So that was really critical, right? The need to really understand the market in tremendous ways. We also know that in smaller organizations, what we found, probably not going to come to a surprise to many, but oftentimes these HR professionals wearing multiple hats, right? So extremely time constrained, right? Compensation, probably about 10% of what an HR professional is doing within a 250-person organization. But keep in mind, you got to think about all of the other things that these people are dealing with. Applicant tracking, payroll, office administration, everything, wellness programs, EAP programs, benefits, right? Comp, just wearing multiple hats all the way around. And so, comp is being certainly a big part of what they're doing. It's not the single thing that they're doing, right? So time constraints was really a challenge there. Also, when you think about resource limitations, this is a team of one, quite candidly. Maybe you got 2 people.
Doing all of that,
yeah. Exactly. I think some of the people that we talked to, they did have maybe an in-house recruiter, but for the most part, it's like one person, doing all of these functions. And sometimes not even HR. These are functions that could be part of, you think about a 20-person company, you might have an office manager.
I was going to say, it could be your office admin who's also doubling as HR, depending on how big your organization is,
You got it. An owner, a founder. It's so interesting, the dynamics between organizations within that market segment. And there are sort of micro segments within the sub 250 marketplace, which was pretty interesting. The other thing is, these organizations, they need to stay relevant and compete and current with what's happening. And so having to rely on stale data that hasn't been refreshed, or accessing information from a friend or a colleague or free sources.
I was going to say the free employee reported.
Yeah, it just is not going to cut it.
Yeah.
And even smaller businesses, they're competing against the big guys. And so it's important to know what the next door neighbor is paying for talent across all functional parts of the business, and not having access to that is hurtful for them.
Yeah. And when we say small businesses, we're not talking necessarily about like mom and pop shops down on Main Street, which though they could be a part of it. Like we're talking about just organizations that are in the early days maybe, or, like you said, I think you said under a couple hundred people.
Sub 250, you got it. I mean, absolutely. I mean, Pay Factors is sort of on that cusp.
Yeah.
In terms of, we're right at that little inflection point right there. But, the other biggest thing, and I definitely want to hammer home this point because this by far stood out the most. Organizations in this market segment have either no budget or a lack of, limited budget for survey data, right? It's not something that they think about in terms of when they're putting budgets together.
Even if they have the budget, if that's one person doing so many things, the surveys take an incredible amount of time to do and complete. I mean,
well, we've experienced it before, right? One of the things that we've seen, not here, but in a previous place where we worked, was together, all of us, was that they would buy a survey.
Yeah.
A survey. We had multiple office locations. We were a small business under this, right? I think a couple hundred, probably fewer than a couple hundred people at the time.
I feel like we're,
few offices, and they would buy a survey to try to cover all those geographic areas, all the jobs, right? Which, as we know all the time, a marketer is not a marketer is not a marketer. A developer is not a developer is not a developer. Then add the geographic component to that. You're not going to get an accurate read of the market, but that's the best typically. It's either that or you use that.
And we were trying to compete, and we're doing
right.
the same thing here, trying to compete with, we're outside of Boston with Pay Factors.
That
company you're talking about was
big publicly traded companies.
Yeah.
Right? We were recruiting from the big guys because we were growing that fast as well.
Yeah.
And so to your point, John, it's like you're tight labor market, right?
Yep.
So few people out there, you got to pull people away. You do that with compensation typically. At least that's the start of the conversation. You want to make sure that you're retaining them then and paying them fairly for what the market is, right? So you remain competitive. Oh, but by the way, you have little or no budget to do this.
Yeah.
Right?
So what's left? What's left for you to do?
Yeah, how do you do it?
So this research fed into the Pay Factor Free offering.
So what's the Pay Factor Free offering, John?
Yeah, so we launched on April 8th. We launched Pay Factors Free, which is a free solution to all organizations. Primarily geared towards the small, mid-sized market segment, if you will. We firmly believe in the complete idea of data democracy, right? Like, let's eliminate the barriers. Let's put data out there. Let's give it to organizations, allow them to access jobs on a limited basis, if you will, right, by their particular scope, which is fantastic. And when you think about a smaller business, they want information that is quick, easy, simplified modern UI and the ability to market price jobs for projects or ad hoc needs, things of that nature. I mean, can you imagine like an HR professional dealing with someone coming into their office, a manager that's saying, hey, we need to help price. We're losing IT developers left and right. What's going on here? And in 3 clicks or less, these guys have access to that information now at their fingertips.
And it's free?
Free.
Really free.
Free.
It's free.
Okay, so it's free. Got it.
Yes, we're psyched. It's great.
All right, so it sounds like it solves a lot of these needs that the survey found out there. How are you seeing people use it so far?
Yeah, so the uptake has been fantastic, and for the past few months, it's been sort of in a soft launch kind of mindset. What's really cool is people are utilizing Pay Factors Free for a number of different things. When you talk about the recruiting and retention aspect in a tight labor market, I mean, this puts that information, HR validated data at their fingertips, right? So it's going to help in that capacity. We also know that there are times and needs for ad hoc market pricing requests that kind of come in. Don't know when it's going to happen, but it does come in from time to time. And these organizations are also doing project-oriented work where they're doing a complete study on their organization, and it might be 6 weeks, 8 weeks, a 12-week time period where they want to come in and really focus on what it is that they're doing, and they can leverage Pay Factors Free to assist in that capacity. Other organizations, as they tend to become slightly more sophisticated and strategic with their business, will turn to us for a little bit more formality around their pay practices. As they think about their business unit or department. Really honing in on what their methodology, might be from a pay philosophy perspective is going to be. The ability to have really cool insights and reporting, right? Organizations, you guys probably have done even comp and coffees on this, like pay inequity and gender pay analysis, things of that nature. Like, pay factors free is going to allow you to be, kind of strategic with some of those decisions. As you upload employee level data, compare that to the market, and do some analysis on your various business units and departments and things of that nature. So, that's another strong area that people, gain value out of the solution. Remaining competitive intelligence, being able to understand what the market is paying, for these jobs, keeps you competitive.
So that you're actually market pricing, not just responding to, hey, here's your 3% raise this year because that's what we have budgeted. You're actually thinking about what's happening out there in the market.
Absolutely. Without a doubt. And being, I'd say one of the most important things that they're gaining a lot of value out is being able to connect and engage with like-minded individuals. It's a great community component to
as part of Pay Factors Free.
You got it. Part of
cool.
Pay Factors Free. You can kind of come in, engage. We've got surveys, quizzes, polls. You can like and comment on a number of different HR-related topics.
Kind of
not
like
just
a
about,
social media
you got it.
platform?
Yeah, really cool. So that's getting a ton of uptake, and we're excited about that.
Yeah, it sounds good. So if somebody wants to try this out, John, where do they go?
Yeah, you go to payfactors.com/free. Fairly simple. It's probably a 30-second process to fill out a couple fields and hit submit, create a password, and away you go. You've got access right away, and before you know it, you're pricing jobs and gaining a lot of value.
Awesome. Again, that's payfactors.com/free.
You got it.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on today. Thanks for sharing what you found in the survey. Thanks for sharing about Pay Factors Free. We'll have you on again soon.
Thanks.
Bye.